without further ado, let's get him on.
They're connected to
Okay,
NA?
gentlemen,
To NA, yeah.
gentlemen, we're going on, okay?
Hello,
so
we're going
please,
on?
please start swearing, okay?
Yeah, we're
yeah.
live.
You know, it's funny, chat. Before I introduce our guests, which I'm not going to really properly need to, but before I do, 5 minutes before we started, Guilty goes, all right, I gotta get a beer, I'll be right back. And I think that pretty much sums up how this chat's gonna go. Snoopy, welcome on in, my man. How you doing? You're looking fresh.
Thank you. I'm doing good, ready for the talk about Feral Druid. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm hyped.
Excellent. Good. Guilty, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, all good. Enjoying life.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking about Feral for a minute or two.
Yeah, a minute or two, or maybe an hour to an hour and a half. We'll see. Chat. The way this is going to go is we're going to just have a little conversation about obviously everything to do with Feral in Shadowlands and what's upcoming with 9.2, which is, I heard it's next week. I heard that's the release date. So we'll be talking about that.
Confirmed?
Yeah, confirmed. Confirm it now. But
confirmed right now, yeah.
As well, if you have any questions for us as like a panel or a specific, you know, if you really love Snoopy and you want to just talk to him directly, please get those questions in. You can tweet them at me, or any of these guys, or you can put them in the chat, and at the end just make sure when we're doing Q&A that you kind of put those in the chat, and we'll try and get to as many of your questions as we can, but there will be a Q&A section at the end for you. Right, so let's get into this then, guys. So Snoopy, how have you been finding Feral so far across the whole of the expansion? Like, are you happy with how Shadowlands has been going for us and stuff?
Yeah, I think in Arena, like recently, it's like Jungle has been like a top comp, like probably like top 3 comp. They have like RMP, Ret Warrior, and then Jungle. Actually, recently, like it's kind of fallen a bit out of favor because there's so many Demon Hunter Boomies now. But Feral's been performing like really good, especially in like threes. I guess like early Shadowlands, it's been weird with like Covenants because first it was Kyrian, I think, if recall Kyrian was Bis. And then after 9.0.5, then like Necro became Bis, and ever since then it's just been Necrolord, just BM jungle. Like Knife was always pretty good, but like never like top tier. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very gimmicky. But I've been doing a lot of Convoke still.
I mean, that's
so,
that's the thing, right? You managed to get me to 2k on Feral using Convoke, and we went double Convoke, so it must not be that bad.
Magic.
Yes, that's pretty good. Like double woman to Convoke is, you know, you can cheese. Like Convoke every 30 seconds is pretty good.
Yeah.
See, I mean, it's been fun. Like there's always been like one Covenant Feral that's been like, you know, top tier, and then but you can like play, you know, Kyrian and Knife. Venthyr's been trashed the whole time. Like never even been. Like, no one plays Venthyr. Like, the highest Venthyr is, like, 1,400 rated or something, I think. But, except for that, it's been, like, pretty fun, and you can kind of play whatever, too. You can play, you know, FMP with Knife. You can play Kyrian Kittycleave now, like, Kyrian Warrior. No, Kyrian Feral Druid with Necrolord Warrior is really good. With the Necro banner. And, yeah. Feral's doing really good, though, in PP. So I can't complain. But I think you guys can't complain, probably. I think it's a different story in PvE.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, and I mean, Guilty, are you going to have kind of a polar opposite view on things?
That really depends what your view is.
Yeah, I mean, well, if Snoopy's saying PvP is fine, how have you been feeling about PvE?
I think we're fine in PvE. Like, we're obviously not the absolute best spec. There's some issues, but for the most part, I think we're in an okay place. Obviously, we're underplayed. Like, I'm sure people know the issues, but I do think it's overblown. Feral was fine this tier. I'd go so far as to say Feral was like good this tier. Feral should have been in on World First Sylvanas.
Yeah, is that something that you truly? Because I kind of think of myself and I go, actually, if you break it down, if you do look at Feral in that fight, it's actually in P3 especially performing very well, and the timing seemed to line up quite nicely with our CDs. Do you think that was a bit of a misplay?
I mean, like, I wouldn't go as far as say it was a misplay. Like, World First was kind of fucked up this tier, right? Because of domination shards, and obviously I don't think either of the guilds really had somebody who's played Feral, and it's almost certainly not the correct decision to play Feral when you don't play Feral, right? Or you don't have shards, or etc. So I don't think it was a misplay not to play Feral, but I think that in a perfect world, we had perfect access to gear and perfect people playing specs. Feral probably should have been in. Like you can look at the logs from like Pieces. Pieces had a Rogue in. Obviously, Rogue is very similar to Feral on that fight. Look at the boss damage that Pieces Rogue did on that fight compared to anything that someone on like Method or Limit did, and it's completely absurd. It should have been in, considering the hardest part of the fight for them was phase 3, and was that phase 3 burn.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, that's the thing, right? And that's how Feral was performing at the beginning of this tier. It's still performing quite well, and I think in general the raid balancing across the board, across all specs, is looking pretty good. There are, of course, some outliers up at the top and the bottom, but I think in general it's looking fairly good. What do you think, though, Guilty, about the Mythic Plus scene? Because I know when I said how are we performing in PvE, your head went, oh, rating's good. But what about the mini game?
Yeah, we had this little mini game discussion before, didn't we? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Feral is obviously struggling in M+, right? Like, I think that it's overblown how bad it is, and
You think?
a significant part of why it's bad isn't necessarily the spec so much as what you play around it. But it's definitely struggling a bit in M+. And in order to make it work, as I'm sure you're aware, you do need to kind of be a little bit fiddly and maybe get a little bit carried. But I think that's the case for everything that isn't like a top 3 spec, realistically.
Whoa, the shade. Are you saying I'm a carried player? Yeah, probably. I'm not going to fight that.
Not you in particular, but the spec kind of needs a bit of carrying.
Yeah, well,
because it does have struggles.
The way that Feral's kind of performing in Mythic Plus is that, and I would agree with you. I think that in raid, I think we're performing quite well. We on a lot of bosses. If you just a good Feral player, especially if you're not in a world first guild, you can definitely be towards the top end of your respective guilds, right, chat? And Feral is good enough to perform well. In Mythic Plus, I think we are struggling. I don't know that it's necessarily overblown, and I'll break down a little bit kind of the issues with Feral that I think we have in keys. But that
Hit me.
all you do is single target, right? That's your job as Feral. It's 1 to 3 targets. Your convokes are still good in those phases and stuff. So you're doing that kind of stuff. You're killing the tormentors and enraged spirits and those kinds of things. The problem is that you don't have funnel. So the more adds you're adding, right, your convoke is going to be less shred bite and more break and moonfire. So you actually don't end up getting the funnel. And so funnel is very important in higher level keys or in like an MDI style and that kind of thing. So yes, you do single target, but you don't do funnel. And then you have long CDs in the form of Berserk. And then you don't actually have a great AoE component. You don't have great AoE burst in any way. Even Convoke isn't good AoE burst, even if it is on a 1 minute CD. So I feel like we're lacking a lot of things that would make that you're playing around in Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus is all about short CDs, burst AoE, funnel. Those are like the 3 main things that you need in order to be a great spec in Mythic Plus. And then, of course, like survivability and utility is like an additional thing. So I feel like that's where Feral's kind of been struggling. But when we look at 9.2, I think a lot of things are going to change in that area. And I mean, if you guys are happy to move on, we can start talking about 9.2. Was there anything you kind of wanted to still discuss when looking reflectively on 9.1.5 or previously in Shadowlands? Are you guys happy to move?
Yeah, I think I'm fairly happy to move on to talking about the future rather than the past.
Yeah.
I would say that in regards to the Mythic Plus stuff, is that it's important to note that while I agree with your perspective on the high end, I think it's worth considering for the majority of players that the experience is very different.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say.
Like, I fully agree that when you're pushing keys as you do, Feral doesn't bring a lot. However, I think it's worth pointing out that at the level of keys that 90+% of the player base is doing, that what Feral brings is more than enough to complete the content, which is what most people are aiming for, rather than pushing high.
Kind of curious, like like next patch with the I guess we're gonna move on, but yeah, for next patch with the Necrolord legendary, could that like kind of give Feral something more in PvE, like the
so I think that's
Swarm.
Double legendary is actually like a really important topic to discuss, and I've talked about it on like 3 different podcasts now, And this is going to be relevant to Snoopy as well, for all the people complaining that we're not letting Snoopy talk.
No, I mean, guys, it's PvE. Like, I respect it. Like, I'm not a PvEer. I can't contribute with anything for PvE. I'm sorry.
So
no, that's fine. That's fine. Don't worry.
Obviously, next patch we're getting double legendaries, and we know that we're only getting Covenant legendaries. So the reason this is going to be relevant to Snoopy is, of course, those Covenant legendaries aren't equal, right? Like, so the moment you play Necrolord in PvP, we were discussing this beforehand.
Yep.
The Necrolord legendary is the legendary split, like it splits Adaptive Swarm, yeah? How useful do you think that is going to be for PvP?
Like, on paper, it seems so bad. Like, it really does. So it's not even like a guaranteed split. It's a 60% chance to split, right? So it's not even like a guaranteed thing. But like, so how I see it is like Necrolord is already like so far ahead. Like, it's already like, here, and then you have like, Knife Curing down here. So I don't think that the double Lego like being less useful for Necro is gonna make it like terrible, but it's gonna kind of close the gap a bit, at least, I think.
So the other thing
like,
to consider
it doesn't seem good though. Doesn't seem good.
So obviously that's relevant for talking about like the balance within Feral, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, say we were talking about Necrolord warriors and things beforehand as well. They're getting a legendary which does work with their Covenant, the Covenant that's already the best.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a huge shift in terms of balance because some of these legendaries don't do anything. Necrolord in PvP or like in single target in raids is essentially not getting another legendary because that does almost nothing. Whereas other Covenants are getting stuff.
Which is why, like for like Knife, for example, like now, because Knife's biggest problem is you're very squishy, but I can play with Celestial Spirits, and then also maybe play with like Natural Order's Will, which means pre-bear from stuns, then skin, then you're gonna proc a regen as you're in a stun, which is insane. So if you just pre-bear stuns as a Feral, you can't really die then. So which can probably like make Knife like way better in threes, or Curian, we can play like Curian Lego and maybe Fearful Sims or something. So I feel like it's gonna shift the Feral like Covenant choice quite a bit. But yeah, it might be a situation where we just see like all three, not Venthyr, Necrolord, Curian, and Knife. Venthyr is so bad. Like
we're not looking at Venthyr either.
Yeah, Venthyr sucks.
Oh no, go on, Snupy. Sorry.
No. I was just saying Venthyr sucks.
Well, I was going to say, Guilty, have the theory crafters, in the Dream Grove, have you guys even bothered simming anything with Venthyr? Like, have you even bothered to input the numbers?
Yeah, we've taken a look. We've taken a look and we've seen it's bad, and then we've not looked much further.
Okay.
It's something we are aware exists. It's realistically, it's probably not too far away from actually being a Covenant that you could use. But I think it's unlikely that the changes are made, which makes it a Covenant you never consider. So
I feel like it could work if you like maybe min-max it.
Well, the thing I'm wondering with if you play Venthyr, and like, I mean, we're talking about Legendaries, we're mixing in tier sets here. There's a lot to kind of digest, and so I feel like it is going to be a little bit messy. Chat, we're probably going to jump back and forth, so bear with us. But focusing on Venthyr a little bit, with the 2 set, it just nullifies Venthyr being any good unless you get Berserk down to like 1 minute 30, and then you have Venthyr for every second Berserk, but then I don't know. It just seems like a waste when you could. There's so many better synchronizations you can have. Literally, the other 3 Covenants, especially in PvP, like you're saying, Snupy, where it just feels like Venthyr has been dead for PvP. It's probably going to remain that way. It's probably going to continue to be dead for PvE as well. So, unfortunately, just kind of removing Venthyr from the table. Do you guys wish that Venthyr was good? Do you wish, if Blizzard have a number of things that they are gonna, say that they can do 2 things for every spec or something? Do we want them to focus on that? Or are we happy to say, look, that's dead. Let's focus on other stuff?
I think having 3 like kind of viable Covenants in PvP at least is kind of fine. Like 4, 3, it's kind of 3 is enough. Because then you gotta like farm more arena on it too. I don't have like that much grind.
Then you gotta make a 4th Druid, haven't you? For your
I already have
videos.
6 Druids. I already have 6 Druids, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Jeez, no, 1 is enough for me. Yeah,
like realistically, I've seen Boomkin's having to play Venthyr, and like realistically, if Venthyr's ever going to be good, it's going to be good for the reasons that it was good for Boomkin, which is that you fit so much of that damage into that 3-minute window. And frankly, I've seen Boomkin suffering this tier, and I have no interest in having to suffer like Boomkins did this tier, because playing Venthyr seems miserable. Just absolutely no interest in having to play that.
Convoke seems more fun too, just like convoking.
Convoke is way more fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love Convoke, man.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's be. I think we're happy to say Venthyr is just DOA. Let's focus on the other. So yeah, so Snupy, looking at PvP, because I do want to be fair to you with giving you some time on air and stuff. So
yeah.
Kyrian is a potential option for PvP, because I know that we've been talking a lot of Kyrian simps. I saw some tweets from JB saying about how Kyrian's good in PvP. I saw some other people complaining or happy or something. I don't know about Kyrian being busted. It was probably Revo or something like that.
Yeah,
so
Revo actually.
Kyrian is a potential option. It's always Revo. Kyrian's a potential option. Night Phase a potential option. Necro. Would it be a potential option if you have the 100% chance of Adaptive Swarm, or are you happy with it being an option?
Okay, so to be honest, I think Necro like will still. It's like hard for me to say. I haven't played PTR a lot, but so like Venthyr or not Venthyr, sorry, Necrolord is still I think gonna be like. I can see Necrolord as being still like the best in threes, just because like Beastmaster jungle, it's kind of like perfect for Necrolord because you have like the kind of pet damage and just like unavoidable damage there. Then you have like bleed damage too, and just kind of like just rot him down, just kill him. While if you play Kyrian jungle, it kind of fits better with like Hunter or something. As in like season 1, jungle, like the best version of jungle for a time was Hunter and then Kyrian Feldred, and then kind of swap to BM Hunter and then Necrolord Feldred. So it's kind of like certain Hunter specs kind of complement different Feral Covenants. And I think BM is not going to go anywhere. So I think like Necrolord BM jungle will still be like a top tier comp. But I think like jungle just in general is just really insane. So I think you can play like any jungle. You can probably like Knife Face Survival Holy Priest jungle, or like BM Necrolord Disc Priest jungle, or Kyrian maybe Hunter jungle. You can play so many different versions that I think and I think Necrolord BM jungle is not going anywhere. So what was the question again?
Just basically, like, we were just talking about the different covenants, and it looks like in PvP, all 3 of them are going to be viable. I'm not even going to consider Venthyr. So you're kind of happy with that, and it's just going to be versatile. Depending on what comp you're playing with is going to affect which covenant you go.
Yep. I think we'll see like a variety of things, just not Venthyr, basically, like next patch. But it's kind of hard to say because I think the tier set thing bonus, if that's like increased by Swarm, right? It's like a bleed, right? So the damage should be
it's damage over time, I think. Yeah. I haven't actually checked that, but I haven't actually checked that, unfortunately.
I assume it would though.
Yes. It's hard to say what it will affect because it's currently bugged for.
So we'll get into the tier set in a second, because I got an image to show. I think it's collating a lot of the information that you guys in the Dream Grove have figured out so far. And Guilty, obviously, you can tell me if anything's changed or if anything's been added to or needs to be removed or whatever. But we'll talk about the tier set in a second. We'll kind of focus then a little bit still on some of these covenants. So Guilty, in terms of then the PvE side, raiding in the minigame, how are you feeling with the different covenants? I know Night Fae is still looking incredibly strong, but is Kyrian Simp a potential option?
I think it's definitely a potential option. I know some ferals might disagree. I've had that discussion, but I definitely think that on certain fights, I think it's likely that Kyrian Simp might be the best option for your raid progress. There is always the debate of whether or not it's better to just have a different class in, but obviously that depends on the guild. But I think realistically, it's probably for raiding at least. I think it's very likely that it's Night Fae on pretty much every boss for personal throughput. So I think Kyrian might see some play. It might also not see some play, but I think it's likely it probably will. What's interesting is Necrolord, because obviously as we were talking about before with the double legendaries, and as Snupy pointed out, it's not unlikely, in my view, that Necrolord might become the option for sustained AoE due to both the set bonus adaptive swarm splitting, and the fact that you can have another legendary now.
What would you couple with that then? So you'd go the Necro Adaptive Swarm legendary,
Adaptive Swarm Circle, Adaptive Swarm. Yeah, probably Circle. Circle is probably the most realistic option.
Makes sense.
Though potentially you maybe look at like Frenzy Band for more CDR on Berserk, and swipe spamming to spread the bleed again. Potentially, but I think it's highly likely that might be an option for M+, which would be a big shift. Yeah.
You think? I mean, how much is the bleed or adaptive swarm going to jump? Because realistically, in Mythic Plus, if it's only going to jump to 1 or 2 additional targets, you're only going to be having under a handful amount of mobs affected by adaptive swarm. I personally don't think that's going to be as good as Apex for funnel.
You can get pretty good. You can get pretty good coverage.
It's gonna jump back and forth, right, like a few times. So
yeah. So obviously, if you mess up, then it can become very problematic for you because you lose all your stacks. Like say if your group wipes and you lose all your stacks, but you can get lucky. Well, not lucky, but if you don't mess up, you can get pretty good coverage. I've got a video somewhere from Synthetic, who's a PvE feral who plays a lot of Necrolord, who did a video for me of a full M+ run with him using Legendary. And you can get decent coverage on it. If it goes wrong, it goes really wrong, but you can get decent coverage. And with a lot of the stuff we have coming, signing on to that, and the fact that Celestial Spirits is good, but it doesn't really do anything for M+. Kindred Spirits is probably a good option, but obviously I think a lot of people, when they're looking for their own spot, they're looking for their own spot through throughput, and they are less willing to get their own spot through simping their mage or their balanced druid, and maybe don't consider that as strongly. But yeah, I think that is definitely something that M+ players should be considering and leveling Necrolord.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would kind of jump in on that and say I think it's going to depend on what your objective is in Mythic Plus. So if you're doing some lower level keys, if your goal this tier chat is just, or next tier is just to get what is it called, Keystone Masters or KSM, and you just want to get 15 of everything, maybe, I don't know, Necro could be the right option, but I think things will probably die too quickly. So maybe Necro isn't good in the 15 key department, and you'd potentially want either Kyrian or Night Fae instead. But then as you go up a little bit, I think probably in that 18 to 22 region, maybe Necro would be good again because things will live long enough for Necro to be solid. But then I think once you then bump up again and you get to that 23, 24, 25 plus range, and that 30 key, don't worry, chat, we'll get a feral in a 30 one day. Maybe you then go back to Night Fae and you play, or Kyrian, and you go with Apex so that you can get additional funnel, because that's really what you are going to need to kill bosses, is to get good funnel on bosses and stuff like that. So there's that potential play. I don't know 100% what the best thing is going to be, but I think it's definitely worth checking out.
Nobody does. Yeah. And tuning isn't going to be done for a hot minute. I think tuning is likely to be one of the last things. I wish it wasn't, right? But I think tuning is likely to be one of the last things that gets finished off.
Normally Heroic Week of the raid, right, is when they finally say, right, this is it.
Heroic Week is usually when it's finalized, but I'm more thinking PTR, right? PTR, it's usually... I wish they would do it at the start and then iterate on it. But the last few patches, they've kind of been, how can they tune if there's no testing with 2 legendaries yet?
Tuning off the dungeons itself, or
tuning of specs.
Specs, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Specs or covenants or anything like that. It's going to be the last week, and they're going to make 50 changes to 5 classes or something.
Yeah, I've literally had to
full YOLO it.
I've had to say to chat, had to say, guys, when I'm playing my Survival Hunter on PTR, I'm saying I have to disable clips. I say, guys, don't clip this amount of damage, because if you clip this amount of damage, you're going to get survival nerfs, so don't do it. But yeah, I mean, looking
fucking YouTube recording your streams.
Yeah, people are
doing it that way.
Screenshots and stuff. I'm even having to flip screenshots upside down so Blizzard doesn't think the survival's too OP. But no, I mean, I think Feral's going to be in a pretty good spot regardless of what Covenant and Legendary combos we end up playing. My big thing with Feral in Mythic Plus specifically, and we can go back onto Raid in a second as well, because I do want to talk more about the Raid, but in Mythic Plus specifically, we're going to get access to, so I was saying at the beginning of the talk show that right now all we have is single target, but we don't really have anything else. Well, we're going to gain access to Funnel if we end up playing Apex. The reason we would do that is because we get 2 Legendaries, and also our tier set, our 2 set would complement you wanting to get your Berserk reduce as much as you can to affect your 4 set, and so you can get access to more burst. But so you potentially play Apex, you might even play Frenzy Band. I feel like if you're just looking for pure reduction and Funnel, then you'd go Apex. But then we're also going to get access to short CDs. We're going to get Berserk down to anywhere from like a minute. We can get it down to like a minute 40, a minute 50 right now in keys without a second legendary. So with Apex, we might be able to get it down another 20, 30 seconds, depending on dungeon, depending on pulls, depending on procs, and that kind of thing. And then
wait, can I ask a question, by the way? Like, how do you actually reduce CD? Like, what triggers the reduction of CD?
Spending combo points, so using finishers.
Okay, so like it's gonna be like way slower in PP, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, probably spend less combo points because you generate less. Yeah,
PvP is probably going to be a bit weird, but I guess depending on what covenant you're playing with, it won't matter. Like if you're playing Kyrian, it probably won't matter as much. If you're playing Necro, it probably won't matter as much. But if you're trying to get through on your convoke timings, it's going to be weird. Yeah, go on.
Realistically, do you care how much reduction you get? Because any reduction you get is going to offset from defensive CDs, which is
yeah,
true.
Either way,
interesting.
True. But yeah, we're going to get access to Funnel from Apex. We're going to get access to short CDs, and we're going to get burst AoE. And from doing some testing on PTR, it does look like opening up these damage profiles, if you will, is going to be really good for Feral. But it looks like we probably still need a bit of number tuning when it comes to AoE. I know, CB, you probably can't comment as much on that, but Guilty, from your findings, would you say that that's going to be? Would you kind of agree with that? Potentially, Apex is a combo. I think
potentially Apex is something that might be used. I think there's a lot that's up in the air at the moment because so much is unfinished, like Frenzy Band, as mentioned. Apex is a potential choice. Like we could just be going back to Circle. There's a multitude of potential options, particularly when you're considering M+, because obviously in M+, like what you want for each group depends based on your comp. So there might not be a one universal best option.
Was the team playing? There was a team playing like BM, Demolock, Missiver, and Threes.
Oh yeah.
And like they have like infinite pets. And in that you can play Apex actually.
Oh
yeah.
Snotty was playing it. It's like they make you lag. There's so many pets. It's actually insane.
That sounds like some cursed sorcery shit. Yeah,
it is cursed. That comp is cursed.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting. I mean, but that's a potential option there. You get your reduction in PvP. I mean, that could be an option. You run Apex and just pad off the pets. That could be pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think that Feral in general is going to be all right in Mythic Plus next tier. But I think in general we probably need a bit of a I mean, I'm under the feeling that we need an AoE buff in general. Like I would like to see Swipe do more damage, potentially Thrash, though I'm not too bothered because I know Thrash is more of a facilitator than an actual. It's never historically really been a big damage spell.
It doesn't even really facilitate anything. It kind of just sucks at the moment. I do think Thrash should be buffed. It's egregiously bad.
Yeah, I mean, it does like 2 to 3% of your overall in a key. Swipe right now does anywhere from about 5 to like 8%. Primal Wrath initial hit does anywhere from about 4.5 to like 6 or so percent. But Swipe, actually, I did a key the other day. Swipe was under my melee hit in terms of damage, and I just think that for an uncapped spell at this stage in the game where you need AoE, even if you're in raid, you need some component of AoE. If you're doing a 2-3 target fight, you still are going to be swiping in that environment. And I feel like that stuff needs to be swiped. If nothing else, if Blizzard is listening, if nothing else, my personal input today is that I would like to see our AoE abilities buffed in general. Swipe, Primal Wrath initial hit, and Thrash. But I don't know if you wanted to jump back to Raid a little bit or something, Guilty, but how are you feeling about Feral and Raid? I mean, we've got a few different combo. I feel like Feral is going to be absolutely phenomenally good no matter what, really, because we were getting Castle Nathria, we were slept on a bit. We were getting Sod, we were slept on a bit. now we're going to get 2 legendaries, and there are some specs, as we were kind of alluding to, for some specs, some classes, their second legendary for their best in slot covenant is a dead legendary, is a dead slot. Whereas Feral, we're getting, like, our best in slot single target is Celeste right now, and then we're also going to get a pick of either Apex, Frenzy Band, or Deep Focus. Like, are you kidding me? And then also we're getting a reduction on our Berserk to at least 2 minutes. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that seems really, really good. Are we going to be a powerhouse in Raid, sorry, do you think?
It's like, I think
I know it's hard to say, yeah.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say. I think it's likely Feral is going to remain in the same series. Pretty good, but it's underlooked, which is fine. Obviously, it has issues elsewhere, and it will likely have issues on some of the fights that we've seen, due to some AOE and things. But I think it's likely to be a pretty good spec. I'm not too worried about playing Feral going into the next tier. Not that I normally am. My raid leader is going to continue making jokes about me being on Boomkin duty all the way until the raid releases.
Honestly, I thought you were a Guardian at this point, guilty.
I fucking wish I was Guardian, man. It's a fucking dream. You can just watch Netflix while you're raiding. Actually, I miss that period of my life. But no, I think Feral's probably going to be pretty good. And like I said, full disclaimer, it's really hard to evaluate what's going to be good. Feral could end up being really bad because so much of Feral's value is on it doing good single target. And if some of the set bonuses go live as they do, which I don't think will happen, then it loses that strength and it just becomes a bad spec. Because if it's not top there, then it's just bad, because that is how perception comparative performance works. But I think it's likely it'll be okay. I trust Blizzard enough not to leave us high and dry completely.
Okay. So let me ask you guys then as well. We'll get onto the tier set now, or like in just a moment. Is there anything so far that you guys would like to see change when it comes to like the double legendaries or covenants and how we're looking going into 9.2? Is there anything, or like just generally about the spec that you think Blizzard maybe needs to work on?
From a general perspective, we need to know how we get double legendary, know when it's going to be a thing. Like, because we don't know yet. We don't know if we're getting it in like 9.2.5, or if we're getting it exalted, or if we have to farm something, or if we're just getting it week 1. We just do not know what is happening with that. So we need to know that soon, TM. I think set bonus still needs some tuning, particularly on the 4-piece. And it needs fixing because it just doesn't function properly at the moment. Those are the major concerns. If you gave me full reign with like other changes, boy, I could redesign the spec for you for 9.2, but I don't think that's realistic.
We can maybe like get into more like overhaul stuff. We'll get onto that in a little bit. I think I think it was maybe I asked a little bit too broad of a question, but yeah, like are you happy?
Those are the main things. Those are the main things. They need to communicate better about 4-piece, and they need to substitute double legendary.
Like,
and they need to fix double legendaries. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of wish that the set bonus like wasn't tied to Berserk in a way, because like it's such a long CD, and especially for like PvP, I guess you can like reduce CD, but yeah, if it was like tied to like something more like universal in your rotation maybe, or something like this, like something that's not like a 3-minute cooldown, or like maybe 2 minutes in PvE, but that'd be nice. But that's more of an overhaul kind of thing, I guess. So that's not gonna happen at all.
What do you think?
It's probably really boring for PvP, right? Because it's essentially just passive damage during your Berserk.
Yeah. It could be nice. I guess you can like, trade seed, like get maybe like a trinket with that and then convoke or something. Maybe it's gonna like be scary enough to force stuff, which could be cool. But yeah, I mean, like there's so many like new things coming now that's gonna mix things up. With the double Lego, I guess 2 main things: double Lego and then tier set. And like these things with different covenants in like different comps, there's gonna be like so many different combinations you can do, so many comps you can play. So it's gonna be fun.
When you first saw the tier set, Snupy, what were your first thoughts? Like, did you look at that and go, "Oh, this is gonna be fantastic," or "This is pretty meh"?
I thought it was kind of lame because like Berserk to me is just like it's like
trash.
Not trash. It like feels good to press, but when you press it, it's not like you're kind of like becoming like a beast. You're just kind of like berserking, just kind of fill time between goes. Usually, just kind of build to get combo points easier, and it's not really like a like a huge CD for like burst. It's more just to kind of supplement into a goal, so you can like maybe shred and then maim faster or something. It's nice though, but and maybe like with the new foreset thing, is it the foreset that does the bleed?
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
even know. Yeah, so like
Snoopy,
with that,
do you play
it could
do you
become.
play Feral Druid? Because you have 6 druids and you don't know what the foreset does. Do you
I,
play?
I haven't played PTR. I'm actually on it now. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like
Yeah,
looking
no
at trying to
problem.
looking
There's
at
a vendor. You
the
can
new
go to a
trinkets too.
vendor and you
Yeah, I'm
can
here right
go
now.
and see what it does. But yeah, it's a bleed. When you press Berserk, it applies a 10-second bleed to everything in AOE.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, we'll talk about it more. But like, yeah, when you first saw it, do you think that's going to have a big impact in PvP? Are you going to play more of a rot build potentially? Could you see this
Dude,
applying a lot of pressure or not so much?
So Guilty was talking about like Circle and Necro Lego like to split, and that could maybe be a thing in PP too. Like I was actually playing Affliction Warlock for Eldred recently, like yesterday, and maybe like Affliction Lock for Eldred with this, and then Circle and the what's it called, Locust Swarm or something.
Adaptive Sob, yeah.
Yeah, the legendary. Um, that could be interesting for sure. So I think there could be, and like that with the tear set, some huge cleave damage. For sure. Like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be so many different comps you can play, like with Curian and then yeah, Knife and Necro, not Venthyr, but it's gonna be a lot of stuff that I'm sure like every Covenant will have like some form of like strong comp that you can kind of get high, maybe not rank 1, but like high, maybe Glad and 3K with for sure, and probably like some kind of rot build for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I do agree with Mr. the Man in chat that Feral should probably just have Innovate. I know
Yeah, that'd be nice.
wouldn't make a big difference to probably anything, but it would be a nice nod, particularly as Ion. I've said this like a few times now, so I'm going to continue harping on about it. Ion did say that they didn't want to have spec specific utilities, so if we can't get spec specific utility for us, then maybe we can have the spec specific utility that other people have, because you said you didn't want it to be there.
I
That'd be nice.
mean, I don't look. Listen, I don't want to take a hit at Blizzard, but because
I'll take as many as you want.
there's some good stuff going on there at times and stuff, and I like some of the content that they're putting out at times, but I was very concerned when they gave all Druid specs stampeding raw. So they gave away like Guardian and Feral specific utility, and then we didn't get anything in return. And that for me, like I just kind of thought, who made this decision and like what was their thought process? That for me like did worry me, and is what made me concerned going into this expansion. And my fears haven't really been alleviated since then. I don't know, the 4 set and the 2 set look pretty good, and I think it's going to open some doors for Feral. I think Feral's not just going to outright be like this, this curse spec that nobody wants to touch, and it could open some doors, especially in PvP. It's looking pretty good, in Raid it's looking pretty good, Mythic Plus it's looking pretty good, but yeah, that was a little bit of a concern to me. So yeah, Innovate would be cool. Shit, at this point, leader, I know like when me and you went on the Sloot talk, when he was doing all the different specs like a year ago in beta, and I was like, nah, I don't want leader of the pack, because if we get leader of the pack, then all that's going to happen is Feral Druids are going to take another spec's raid spot, and then there's just going to be another spec that was in the situation that we're in. I want to see all boats rise together. But I'm at a point now.
We can just take the raid spots from Boomkins.
Yeah, I'm at a point now where I'm like, fuck it, dude. Like, I will just give me leader of the pack, give me Innovate. Let me shoot like rainbows out of my ass when I press Convoke. Like, I don't care. Just give me stuff at this point. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, pretty much. I can agree with that perspective.
Yeah. I like stuff too. I mean, like the more stuff we can do, the more fun. Like if we could innovate, that'd be awesome. That'd be really like super nice. And I feel like we should be able to. That should be a thing.
Would that be good in PvP? I mean, it'd be quite nice. Like,
I
feel at times
in PvP.
It'd be bad. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like innovate, give your mana healer mana, your mana healer. That'd be nice. Like it's going is a big problem sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
sure.
a big problem.
Use
So-
half the wild and innovate yourself.
There you go. Yeah, do some boomy weaving.
Oh, yeah, and the spam heal, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Enjoy
One of our
that.
boomkins did that to me in Nathria on Kel'Thuzad. I just pressed half the wild and you just innovated me.
That's criminal. That's criminal. That's criminal. But enjoy your number one feral boomy log, I guess.
No,
Right.
second.
I think that we should take a little bit of a look now, and this is going to be a little bit scuffed because I'm not a production expert, but I've got a little bit of a graphic here, chat. And by the way, I know many of you are asking questions and stuff, and you've got questions for us. Save them for the end, and we're going to do a Q&A for the last, 10, 15 minutes or so of the show. So save them till the end, and then we'll answer as many as we can, chat. But hopefully you just enjoying yourselves until then. Here is this. Now, hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, you guys can definitely read that. I mean, I could full screen it, but then we can't see our beautiful faces. I mean, Guilty, you're getting chopped a little bit, my man, but you'll be fine. So this actually got sent to me, so I don't know how accurate it is or when it was posted or whatnot, but this is supposed to be the current standing of a lot of the tier set interactions right now. So looking at the tier set, for those of you that don't know, the 2 set, you reduce the cooldown of your Berserk or your Incon by 0.5 seconds per combo point spent. So 2.5 seconds per Ferocious Bite or Rip on average, right? Or Primal Wrath, whatever you're using on average, right? And then your 4 set is going to do when you press Berserk, it's going to do a bleed, which is doing X amount attack power, bleed damage over 10 seconds, right? To everything in AoE. So we're getting a reduction on our Berserk. We're also getting a massive burst AoE component to it. But then there's a lot of issues with the set. And Snupy, I'm sure, you feel free to take a look and stuff. I'll give you a minute to take a look because I know that you haven't been doing a lot of PTR testing. But these are a lot of the things that are occurring with the set. So, Guilty, what kind of? I mean, is this? Assuming that this is all pretty accurate here, is there anything that's kind of jumping out to you?
Because my knowledge.
The big thing for me right now is the weird way in which it's scaling with certain stats. Like right now, it's snapshotting from Mastery, but isn't dynamically scaling. It's scaling from Verse and Haste. It is critting, but it's not supposed to be critting, or it's critting, but very rarely. It's not based on your current crit rating.
Supposed to be critting, yes.
Yeah. So what's going on with this set right now? Like, how is it working?
It's bugged is the answer.
Okay.
It has been suggested to me that it might be scaling off of spell crit. So it only has the baseline 5% crit, which would make sense. That's not the first time that issue has happened. Won't be the last, I expect. The mastery thing is very clearly a bug in how it functions currently. We don't know whether or not it is supposed to be scaling with mastery or not, which makes it tricky to evaluate. I would say that based on how it all went down, my best guess is that they don't want it to scale with mastery. Because essentially what they did is they... on the way the backend works is that spells have categories, and they basically copy-pasted Rip, it seems, but they specifically excluded Mastery. So they created a new function of Mastery in order to make sure that it didn't scale with Mastery, but now it snapshots Mastery. So my best guess is that it's probably not supposed to scale with Mastery. Obviously, the Tiger's Fury thing is also a bug. Again, it seems likely to me that it's... I don't think they know for sure which way around they want it to scale with Tiger's Fury, whether or not they want it to snapshot or whether they want it to scale dynamically. And the reason I don't think they know this is because it would be consistent with the rest of the game that it snapshotted Tiger's Fury. However, for the purposes of gameplay and playing the game, it would be more consistent with how you currently play to have it scaled dynamically. So what I mean is, typically at the moment, you press Berserk, and then you press Tiger's Fury afterwards, because Berserk gives you 50 extra max energy. So you don't waste any Tiger's Fury. And you then have more energy in your Berserk to press more buttons when you want to press more buttons. However, if it's snapshotted, you'd suddenly want to press Tiger's Fury and then press Berserk, which I think would feel significantly worse in gameplay. So I don't think they know which way around they want this to be. but I think they should make it so it scales dynamically, even if that's not logically consistent with the rest of the game. But I think that's a sacrifice to be made. Obviously, it does work with Apex Bytes. This was something we specifically asked for, so it's good that it does. And this is another example where it's consistent with the game. Obviously, Soul of the Forest is the other example where we generate Soul of the Forest energy when we use Apex Bytes, when we use Convoke Bytes. So that's good. It's also, it does kind of fuck up Covenant balance a little bit, but either they needed to buff the two piece.
Look, Venthyr is dead, bro. Okay, let it go, Guilty. You gotta let it die.
I wasn't really thinking of Venthyr. I was more thinking of Necrolord because it working with Convoke, obviously.
Yeah.
But fuck it, I've given up on Covenant balance. They should still fix double legendaries though, because that's silly. Uncapped AoE dot, yeah, obviously it was always going to be uncapped. That's just the way it goes. It's also almost certainly not going to scale down the way other uncapped things scale down at the moment. Anything else? 8-yard range isn't buffed by Booming Affinity is another bug that happens every time they add a new spell to Feral and Guardian and Balance and Resto. I'd assume that's just a bug and it will get fixed. If it doesn't get fixed on launch, which I think is probably fairly likely, then I expect it will be fixed shortly after release. Anything else? Yeah, mentioned the crit. Impacted by haste, we'd expect to scale with haste. I think it would be silly not to scale with haste. That said, it has been raised as a point with me that it scaling with haste does somewhat make it double dip with haste. Probably not to any extent where you actually like care about the fact that it double dips with haste, but it kind of does.
Okay.
Crit, yeah. Mastery mentioned, versatility mentioned, adaptive swarm. It should scale with adaptive swarm. So if it does, then fantastic. 4 pieces buff by Savage Draw is again great. Though if I recall correctly, Savage Draw doesn't work with the 2-piece, which it should made to do, obviously, because Savage Draw spends points.
I've been playing with Savage Draw and keys, and actually it feels kind of nice to go back to it. And I've been getting it. I managed to get the bleed effect up to 140k per target. That's been the highest I've been able to get the damage up to, based on messing around on PTR with a Savage Draw, with a bunch of with Bloodlust, with everything that I can. That's without Monk, Warrior buff, and any extra stuff like that. But yeah, it seems to be quite a nice hard-hitting bleed. But Snupy, is there anything that jumps out to you specifically from this that you see and interest you?
Yeah, I think it being buffed by Swarm and Savage Roar is gonna make it really insane, because Savage Roar is good at the moment, even though I play Soul usually, or always, but some Ferals play Savage Roar, and yeah, buffed by Swarm and Roar could be huge. It's just the CD. I wonder how much on average you're gonna be able to reduce it in arena.
Yeah. That's a good question, actually. That'd be
I
something
guess you're gonna be able to reduce it
out.
quite a bit though. Yeah. I feel like if you just rip, bite, maim, there's a lot of comp points spent. So.
Well, I mean, how often are you actually running away in PvP these days?
A lot.
Is that
a lot?
Okay.
I mean, it depends on the matchup, but you're gonna be. But the good thing is, as you're running, you can get comp points with Lunar Inspiration, right? So, which is big.
Okay.
So you can kind of get comp points as you're kiting, and then come back in, jump in, rip, maim, whatever. So, I guess you will be able to probably reduce it quite a lot. And yeah, with Swarm and Roar and that bleed, I assume it would kind of do a lot of damage and probably be able to force something on its own, almost like a trinket or something. I imagine that with a frenzy, frenzy and that at the same time with Swarm and Savage Roar.
And the bleed from Berserk is gonna be from the full set?
That with that bleed and frenzy with Swarm and Roar, or just Soul the Force too. I assume it's gonna be crazy damage actually. So I think it's gonna be good, but that's thinking that's about. I mean that's for Necrolord now that I'm thinking about. For Curian and Knife, I'm not sure how it's gonna play out. So I guess in PvP, Necrolord is the covenant that benefits the most from this bonus, from what I can see. And I guess like every like spec is gonna have or every class is gonna have like one covenant that is gonna benefit more from the set bonus. And I think
That's-
from what I can see, it's like Necrolord for Feldred and PP.
That's a good point as well. Actually, Shrooms in chat saying, won't this also annihilate pets in PvP? That could be a really nice element of the Berserk now, is that if you've got a Warlock player or DK or sort of BM or something like that, like you're just going to be able to blow up a lot of their pets.
That's true. That's true. Nice. I guess like the Demolocks, if you kill the pets, bad for them, like Beam Hunter and like hunters in general. I feel like most things can kind of just like get the pet up quite easily. Like pets, like, you know, if you kill them, it's not like too big of a deal for like a mage, or like if you kill a frost mage elemental or something. But yeah, if you kill like pets, and I guess is it capped? Does it just pump everything?
It's uncapped.
I don't even know. Yeah, uncapped. Yeah.
Uncapped.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Full yours,
against like
my
hunters. Man. Yeah, against hunters, that's gonna be nice. Just like kill pets to like collateral damage. Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, do we know if the tier set breaks incaps, charms, or fears? I would imagine so, right? It works like any other AoE, so I feel like it would, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, the big thing for me then when I look at the anything else, sorry, Snoopy, that you were gonna.
No. I mean, just gonna it's from what I see here. It's like things are like bugged and stuff. I like the fury.
It's very
thing.
bugged.
Yeah. But like, I wonder how it's gonna be for Korean and Knife, but it's gonna hard for me to like think about it because there's so many different talent. You can go like different talents. You can probably like do some kind of like lunar convoke build now too, with like frenzy. So it's kind of more like Necrolord talents, but as a Knife Feldred with convoke. And then there's probably like so many builds you can do that I should probably try out. That could be like maybe like convoke and draw too, you know? Yeah, like convoke, draw, and then with like lunar, because I think lunar is really good for this bonus, so you can kind of, you know, get comp points as you're kiting, so you can actually like get the CD reduced a bit. Because I think if you can like Berserk on a shorter basis and kind of trade CDs like get trinkets with that, then you can have convoke for the next go after, which could be insane. So
well, if you can get Berserk down to 2 minutes in PvP, like I feel like that would be quite significant. But I don't, with the amount that you're probably going to be kiting and stuff, I don't know how reliably you're going to be able to do that. But there's potential.
Spam Moonfire the whole game, maybe.
Spam Moonfire all the game, yeah. Just kite. There you go. Yeah, the things that stick out for me with this is mostly the stats. For me, is the big thing. Like, I look at those and I'm kind of concerned because, well, when I was doing some testing initially, it didn't even scale with mastery at all. And then I was sitting there thinking, oh, and if it's not supposed to scale with mastery at all, we got to see if it's supposed to be dynamic, snapped, or not at all. If it doesn't scale with crit, or it can't crit and it doesn't scale with mastery, then you're going to, in Mythic Plus, potentially go like a haste versatility build because it would scale with that. And in Mythic Plus, you would play towards the damage of Berserk and of Sickle of the Lion, the 4 set, right? But in Raid, you would still want to continue to be crit mastery because the bleed on its own on single target isn't enough for you to completely change your playstyle for it. But like in Mythic Plus, you would want to change your playstyle. From how I'm looking at this, that's what I would say. In which case, you would need like 2 different gear sets. You need to shift towards this Haste Verse build in Mythic Plus, Crit Mastery in Raid. It would just be a bit weird, I feel, if you need 2, potentially 3 or gear sets. Obviously, PvP is going to work well with versatility anyway, but you want like Verse Mastery in PvP. So you would need... You need like 3 different tier sets and some haste.
Yeah, because like Necrolord plays more haste by default. Like Necro, you want like quite high haste, but Knife and Kyrian don't really want that much haste. Some, but like far less. So it's gonna be like weird. Like, do you want to kind of like build your or like pick Covenant and talents like around this bonus to kind of like maximize that, or you know, like it's it can like mix up things a lot. But then again, it might not as well. Maybe like it's just gonna be you just kind of play with it and just have it on your already existing build, but or you can build around it. But it's like so hard to like tell how it's gonna be like in the meta especially in threes, because it also depends on what other classes and specs are doing well, and kind of what the
Yeah.
like just what comps are good in general, and then what you're gonna queue into the most. So it's like really hard to say.
I think it
But
is
it's
so hard right now with the fact that the game is going to be completely changing in 9.2. Every single spec in the game is gaining a second legendary, and everyone's gaining a 2 and a 4-piece set. There's going to be a lot of movement, and I don't think anyone out there right now making tier lists for 9.2 is lying to
That's
you,
content.
chat. Like, that's
content.
content, but nobody has any idea. When, people are coming into my chat and they're saying,
Except me.
oh,
I know.
except guilty
Yeah.
knows. But people are, coming in and saying, oh, is survival going to be meta? Is feral going to be meta? Like, what's happening?
Yeah,
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. There's too much stuff, too many moving parts right now, but we can definitely kind of make educated guesses on, oh, this looks like Venthyr, we know 100% looks bad. But we can look at some stuff and say, hey, this looks okay. But yeah, I mean, what do you think, Guilty? Anything that you kind of want to discuss on the 4 set? And
I mean, you say Venthyr looks bad until they make it like 20% per stack, and then suddenly.
Suddenly Ventyr's best. That'd be nice though.
Maybe. No, because then Boomkins come back into the fray, and down with Boomkins. They keep stealing all my.
Yeah, they're gonna nerf the base kit. That's fine. They're just gonna make each Boomkin spell do 1 base damage.
I think that's the answer.
That's what we're aiming for. Yeah, exactly.
They'd still be okay.
I actually just can't see a single flaw in that at all. Everyone would be happy.
Everyone would be happy. Even Teddles would be somehow still be happy. Like, he'd complain on Twitter, but then ultimately,
Teddles would be happy because he'd be able to quit WoW and play TFT instead.
Oh yeah, true. Actually, there you go. Everyone's happy now. But yeah, anything that you kind of wanted to add on the tier set?
Yeah, really, I'd just like them to communicate and like tune it so we can actually feedback on it rather than like last minute. Oh, we're fixing everything now, by the way, and it goes live tomorrow, bug buddies. Yeah, I think that just needs to happen because otherwise it's a fucking clusterfuck, and I have to rewrite guides like 3 times, and none of us want that. Particularly not me.
There you go. That's what you get for being a guide writer. Me and Snupy just got to make another video going in the thumbnail, and we're fine. Like, we get extra content, we're chilling.
Easy content.
Easy content. Like and subscribe.
Some of the Wowhead guys had to rewrite their fucking 9. What patch are we on? 9.1? 9.1.5? I can't even remember. Yeah, they had to rewrite their Shards of Domination guide 4 or 5 times. I felt so bad for them.
Hey, at least people are getting paid, so it's fine.
Yeah, to be clear, they are getting paid for this. They're getting paid for this. I don't want to love Wowhead, but I still felt fucked to rewrite it.
Yeah, don't feel bad for the guide writers. They're all right. They're all right. They just got to make a few notes. It's fine. Okay, cool. So I think we've spoken about the tier set a bit there. Keeping aware of time and stuff. I know obviously we want to fit in a Q&A. We want to kind of keep this to an hour and a half or so. So we've got about half an hour left or so, gentlemen. 9.2, that's we've spoken a bit about legendaries, potential covenants and stuff. Obviously nothing is definitive, but we've kind of just been speaking about some stuff that could be potential good fits. We've spoken a little bit about the tier sets. Are you guys happy with the playstyle right now of Feral? Are you happy with 9.2 and how Feral's actually going to function from a like a playstyle? I know a lot of people going, oh, buff bleeds, make Feral a bleed spec again. Do you guys think that, like, how are you feeling?
Have you seen my damage breakdowns? It's like 52% ferocious bite. Fuck that shit. Our damage breakdowns look so degenerate. It's
yeah.
Yeah, fuck the playstyle.
Yeah.
I feel like PV is kind of behind PP in this way because I remember last season when like Kyrian was bis, everyone was saying bring back bleed playstyle. Like everyone, you kind of wanted that old kind of bleed run build for PP where it just kind of get bleeds up and just kite.
Yeah,
which
now you get
happened. Yeah, which happened. So in PvP, it's like a bit different than like if people think back. I actually didn't play Feral then. I played some private servers, but like Raph, Cat and such. It's a bit different, like different kind of bleeds from then. I guess with like Necrolord with Swarm and stuff. But yeah, we kind of have that playstyle in PP, so I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's really fun. And then I think you can kind of play both. Like if you play Kyrian, Necro, and Fae, you're not gonna get bored because you can convoke. You can mix it up and then go bleed, and do it all.
Yeah,
From
just
what
have
I've seen on
6
PvP
druids,
streams,
chat.
yeah.
Sorry, go.
What I've seen on
go, go.
PvP streams, it looks a lot like early Legion in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Early Legion was fairly fun with like Lunar Inspiration and using that to generate combo
Yeah.
points.
Lunar's so
That was
nice.
fun.
Like Lunar just makes like Pharaoh like a lot more enjoyable. Like I'm not gonna say give Lunar baseline though.
I mean, I'd be down.
I mean that'd be nice. But yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah,
at this point,
it's
remove
nice.
all talents and just make a bunch of stuff baseline. Like,
Yeah, just give Pharaoh everything baseline.
Yeah. What's the
much.
point in having some of these dead talents? Just remove
I
everything.
need Convoke
no
baseline
talents. Let's
after
go.
the expect though. That's what I need. Because
Well,
Convoke's
we'll
gonna go
talk
away.
about
That's gonna
that.
be
We'll 100%
Yeah.
I know
talk about that. Don't worry.
I know it's cheating because we have out of form, but if you consider feral spells to be like cat form spells, we are the only spec in the game which doesn't have a single ranged button. I mean,
Yeah.
in reality, we leave cat form and press Moonfire, but like
Yeah.
everyone else has something. Like if it's heroic throw or like deadly throw or anything like that.
We do have quite a
So-
large
Yeah.
attack range though with AoE stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you have to move out for a mechanic, I guess you can. I mean, like Sylvanas, for example, like phase 1 when she's doing the veils. I think they are. I'll like Heart the Wild or throw a few Moonfires and stuff like that. So you can kind of do it, but yeah, not being able to stay in cat form is definitely a bit annoying. Yeah.
Bro,
Yes, we
I have
can't
a
speak. This
ranged
is fine.
spot. Yeah, exactly. I have a ranged spot on fucking P3 Sylvanas. Don't talk to me about having to run away from the boss.
Oh god, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, that's not fun. That's not fun. You got it. Maybe your raid leader doesn't like me. My raid leader's in the chat right now. He'll if I give him a little nudge and say put me right near the boss, maybe he will. You just gotta be friendlier with him, Guilty. Get in the good books. But yeah, I mean, for me, the play style, I do think. Like, I don't like right now that Feral is really RNG, it feels. Like, with Chaos Bane and with Convoke, like, some pulls on a boss, my opener will be 45k. And I'm like, right, this is a rank 1 log, let's go. And then the next pull, we'll wipe, obviously. And then the next pull will be like a 20k opener. And I just feel like there's such a massive fluctuation in terms of our performance and consistency. And it does feel like Feral's become very bite-heavy, and then also become very RNG. Chaos Bane is obviously not Feral specific, but you're basing around these gems, and then also you've got Convoke RNG, and it just feels, and then the boss parries you. It just feels like Feral is very RNG right now. Would you guys, I mean, I know it's a little bit different for you, Snupy. I guess this is more so just a question for Guilty. Like, do you think that's
Convoke
the
a lot
case?
though, so you know.
Yeah, you're still
Yeah.
convoking sometimes.
I don't know. I don't think it feels significantly more RNG than most other tiers. Yeah, realistically, you're like waiting for procs to push buttons, or not waiting for procs, depending on what the buttons are. So I don't think it's significantly worse than other tiers.
Like, I think in PvP, like people say Convoke is like really RNG, but it's like not that RNG. Like, if you get a good Convoke, they're gonna die. If you kind of isolate targets, root pets to make sure you're not gonna moonfire them, and proper CC, like even with no crits, you're gonna you get like 22k non-crits. Like people will die. So I think it's of course it's some RNG. Like you might press Convoke and crit 2 bites instantly, and they die in like 0.2.
But they were gonna die anyway. Yeah.
They were gonna die anyway. Like if you get good, like sometimes you just like press Convoke and they just die. Like they can't react.
You and I have some
God,
clips of
Snupy
that.
is so vicious, man. Like I don't get on the wrong side of Snupy, chat. Just look, he's just like making eye contact. He's like, sometimes you just convoke and people die.
Yo,
That's scary,
we convoke
dude.
together. We did double convoke together. You know what I'm talking about.
Yo, we need to get 2.1. We need to get 2.1.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Easily. We can go 2-4.
We can go 2.4. We got it, man.
If you put in the time, we'll get there.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. I need you next season. I need you to help me get my tier sets from the vault.
Yeah, I got you. Actually.
Yeah.
I did some mine with Soufre, and yeah,
Yes.
you can just press Convoke and stuff dies sometimes. It's a little bit silly. I've got some clips.
I got some clips of me going to convoke and then I'm not in cat form. I mean, a
Yeah.
man who's been playing
no.
yeah,
I
dude,
actually have a
just
clip of that.
it's so
I
scary,
have a clip of that.
dude. It's so scary PvPing. Like I'm all over the place, and then I got Snupy. Like, okay, And I'm like, Snoopy, I heard some of that, and my mind's like 3 seconds into the past,
brother.
and then I find myself
gonna
when I'm
link
in
it in the
torrent
chat.
form, and I'm like, oh, you got it? Oh, okay, chat can
Yeah.
watch that. There you go, chat.
I
There's
got
a-
it, man. I posted it on my
Was it
second
like a
channel.
resto convoke, or was it?
It was a resto convoke, yeah. And then
Oh,
Snoopy's
no.
like, "Why isn't he dead?" I'm like, I'm a torrent. But I got baited by the weapon from the 9.
Weapon puts you in like a form, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it put me in
you tell which
form.
you're in.
Oh no!
And I was in
That's
a form as a
confusing.
convoke, and then I was like, wait, where are my abilities? I'm doing regrowths.
Spamming fucking regos.
But
brother.
it's Snoopy's fault for not being able to 1v2 after I die.
I can't wait to every game, Cyber. No,
Come
it was
on,
GG's.
dude.
I was
yeah.
GG's. You know, I
GG's.
actually died that game too, though, so we had to delete the VOD.
Yeah, delete the VOD. It's fine. We did a lot of VOD deleting that day. It's all good. By the way, as well, I just want to quickly break in. I know as well, I forgot to kind of mention this at the beginning of the stream. Thank you, Reaction, for the 5, by the way. I know any donations during the stream, guys, are going to be going to Venthyr, which are a charity, which are actually focused on protecting IRL feral druids, right? They actually do a lot of work for protecting their habitats and protecting endangered wild cats, so like tigers, lions, cats, guys, what they are. I don't need to explain this to you, but any donations during the course of this stream will go towards that Venthyr. We've raised in the past like over like £300 or so thank you very much, Reaction, for that 5. I appreciate that, and of course anyone else that does make any contributions over the course of the stream. But I won't sit too much on that. So Snoopy, you kind of brought it up, and if you guys are happy for me to shift, if you guys have anything else left to say on 9.2, or are you kind of good?
I feel like I've pretty much said what I want to say
Yeah.
about 9.2.
Yeah, cool.
Just gotta
Okay.
play it now.
So looking at 10.0 then, which we obviously is distant in the future, that's probably 4 years from now, but we're gonna look. Okay, so we're getting this tier set right now, which is fixing our cooldown, the fact that we have really long CDs, fixing the fact that we don't have any burst AoE. It's fixing, and we have Convoke, right, which is fixing kind of our burst and giving us a little bit more like meaty damage, seeing as we're not a bleed playstyle right now. What happens in 10.0 when we lose Convoke, we lose the tier set, and we're just left bare bones? Are you guys worried about 10.0? Do you think there's anything that Blizzard needs to do? I know it's a long way up, but is there anything that you're kind of worried about for the future of Feral?
Not particularly. Like, it's tricky, right? Because if you do consider all the stuff you lose, then it always looks concerning. But I think realistically that other stuff is going to come around that replace a lot of that stuff. I don't think that, as much as fun as Convoke is, I don't think that anything that we currently have beyond maybe the whole Necrolord playstyle is particularly locked to being enabled by like Covenant or tier set. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about losing stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think Convoke and stuff is fun, but honestly, like it's not good for the game, especially like in arena. Like I think it's like it's not like a good thing. It's like fun for a bit, but I think the game is better off kind of without them. I just hope that, I guess, optimally the spec is fun and feels good without any external things,
Yeah.
that just like the base, like the spec and what you get from just playing the spec, like talents, I guess, and just with that, it's gonna feel good and be like a fulfilling experience, and yeah, not needing like covenants or essences or. I think that's a dream, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with you guys. I don't think, like, Convoke is definitely fun, and it's been cool to have, but I do agree. I don't think it's good for the game in terms of balancing, and I also don't think it's necessarily good for Feral. I'm not necessarily one of those diehard Feral has to be a bleed spec. I'm at a point now with Blizzard where I'm just like, look, Blizzard, whatever you're going to do, just do it properly, like, don't give us a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of that. Just make us one thing, right? Like, Rogue has 3 different specs where they can go, oh, we're a poison spec and we're gonna do some rot damage. Oh, we're like a spammy outlaw thing where we're just constantly I don't know what the hell outlaw does, spamming buttons, and just very direct damage. And then, oh, we've got sub rogue, which is, I don't know, how do you describe it's like a ninja guy, right? So
Turbo's,
you've
like,
got
just insane.
3 different ways of like experimenting with what it is to be a rogue, with the fact that you have 3 different setups and talents, or specs. But with Feral Druid, you only have the one, and it feels like Blizzard's trying to do a bit too much of a bit of bleed, a bit of instant, a bit slow, a bit fast. So I'm kind of just saying, look, Blizzard, whatever you want to do with Feral, just do it and do it properly. And I'm okay to lose Convoke, though. I think Convoke going is fine. But I would just kind of like say not a warning to Blizzard, but just get ahead of the game and just whatever you want to do in 10.0, just start working on it now. Whatever your vision is for Feral, do it now. Do you guys think Feral needs a rework in any way? Do you think that they need to do not necessarily a survival hunter overhaul or a shadow priest overhaul, but a bit of one?
I think it really depends. I think it depends on your definition of a rework. I think what Blizzard need to do is they need to decide on what Feral should be. They need to decide on an identity, and then they need to build the spec to commit to that identity. This is something that, as much as we had a bit of a rocky relationship, Celestalon was actually quite good at, because he very much had, and as much as I disagree with some of his decisions, right, at the same time, he had his vision of what Feral should be, and his changes were made to make Feral into that vision of what he wanted it to be. I really think that's the main issue with a lot of the classic games, is that there isn't somebody who has a strong vision of what that spec should be. So a lot of the changes are kind of just wishy-washy. They'll make changes to do something, make changes to do something else, and it doesn't really accomplish their like final goal. So it just ends up feeling disjointed and slapdash and uncared for. So maybe it needs a rework, but I think the baseline needs to be deciding on what the identity should be, and then either reworking or like building what exists into fulfilling that identity.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe any comments on that?
I don't think it like needs a rework, but I think like them doing something new and like something well done, like whatever it might be, is like a good thing. Like if they do something that's like well thought out, that makes sense. Whatever it might be, I don't know. I'm not like the developer, but like as like they can do stuff. I just hope like whatever they do, like you said, it's like just well thought out, well done, and yeah, it's like an actual interesting thing. I kind of enjoy Feral. I think like once we lose Covenant stuff, and then now also we're gonna lose, you know, the like the Tirsa bonus, like all these things we're gonna have that's gonna go away. New stuff will take its place. I just kind of hope that the new stuff is gonna be good. That's all. I don't really know.
Yeah,
what,
I don't want to go too far into like
yeah.
10.0. I know it's a hard question to kind of hit you guys with. I'm just saying, like, I know that a lot of the spec is changed. Like, if you've played the Mage Tower of Feral, right? I don't know if you guys both did that. I'm sure you both did. I know Snupy spent 4 years in the Guardian Tower.
Got it done day one though. It took me 10 hours in there. It was brutal.
But when you play the Mage Tower,
10 hours on the first day. Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Hey, he got it done. He got it done day one.
I'd never played Guardian before.
That's actually pretty impressive.
10 hours straight is rough though. That's
It was brutal, man.
I can imagine.
But so speaking of the Mage Tower, you look at Feral in that, and a lot of specs are in a similar situation where you see the bare bones spec and you go, oh god, this isn't great. So that was more so kind of what I was looking at with the question, is just like, are we worried? But like you're saying, Guilty, I'm not personally too worried. New stuff will come along. And yeah, Snupy, you're not worried either. So it doesn't need I don't think it needs like a full rework, but I do definitely think having a vision for Feral is important, no matter what it is that Blizzard wants that to be. They just need somebody who works at whoever's in charge of Feral to actually just love the spec and have a vision for it, for sure.
Yeah. I think that the core baseline skeleton they have to build on is pretty good, which is why I don't really think they probably do need to rework. I think there's a lot of space to develop on what exists there, but it's just a case of having to do it.
Okay.
Like I think Adaptive Swarm is pretty good. Adaptive Swarm probably is the Covenant choice that I think should stay the most. But I'm biased, so.
I think that could be interesting. I personally not even played like any necro, but I still think that is the thing that makes the most sense for what Feral Druid is. But maybe give it an AoE component, Blizzard, so that the mini game of Mythic Plus that you have 2 international esports centered around could, be effective in that. That would be nice. Anything that really still needs to be taken care of, you think, with Feral going into 9.2, or just generally speaking? I know I obviously mentioned that I would like to see an AoE buff to things like Swipe, Thrash, and Primal Wrath Initial Hit. That would ultimately not have an impact on PvP or Raid. It would be specifically just affecting Mythic Plus. I know, Guilty, you're a big Raider, Snoopy, big PvPer. Anything that you guys think we haven't discussed today, or anything that you think that Blizzard should particularly work on? And really quick, actually, chat, we're going to be doing the Q&A in a couple minutes, so start sending those questions in now. If you have a question for us, please @ me in your question when you ask it. But yeah, Guilty, I'll start with you, man. Anything that you think we haven't hit on?
AoE obviously is a relevant concern. I do think that's something that should be looked at. Aside from that, and like single patch changes, particularly with like probably having like a month maybe until the patch comes out, I don't think there's particularly need. And we should be thinking about 9.3 instead.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Snoopy?
I can't really think of like anything. Wait, what should, like, for like 9.2, like something?
Yeah,
that
anything like,
that I
is
want
there
changed?
something? Yeah, anything that you think Feral still kind of needs to have a review of? Because we've spoken about
Yeah.
like tier sets in the Legendary, but do you think there's talents that need to be changed, spells, defensive?
Probably
Like,
something that I cannot come to anything right now, actually.
I mean, you
I'm
guys
trying to think of
mentioned
more.
Innovate, right? You both mentioned Innovate. What
Yeah,
about Leader
yeah,
of the
that'd be nice,
Pack?
that'd be nice.
Or
Yep.
I think like Innovate would be nice, but it's not gonna happen probably for next patch. But yeah, it's like things that like I'd wish for, but honestly, if I got Feral the way I want it, it would be the most broken thing ever. It would be the best spec by far. We'd be gods.
how? So, what vision do you have for Feral?
Dude,
Winning the
Instant
game.
Cyclone, Instant Cyclone, Innervate. I guess those two. Just like give me Instant Cyclone, Innervate,
Okay.
and we're gonna be pumping everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I think that would be a
Yeah.
good balancing challenge for Blizzard. Enjoy.
I feel like it wouldn't be that broken that actually. That'd be kind of balanced, honestly. We should get that.
Okay, cool. Right, Guilty, unless you had anything to finish off there, then we can start asking some of these Q&A questions.
All
right, cool. Right, so this is a good one. Why should someone start playing Feral Druid?
Because you enjoy it. I don't know why should somebody start playing any others? Right? It's
Well, I mean, actually, like, think Feral, just like you can do way more in Feral than any other spec. I don't know. Okay, like in PvP too, but especially in PvP, you can like do so much stuff with roots. Okay, now I'm gonna list everything you do, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you can stealth. You're stealth. You're a healer. You can burst. You can bleed. You can basically like Feral's like the perfect hybrid. Like it's like a true hybrid. You can do so much. Like I think like having like pre-bear farming stuff. There's just like so much you can do basically.
fair enough.
So it's just like really fun to play because I think some some specs are way more like one dimensional, and to me they just seem really boring. I'm not gonna throw any shots. Probably like Demon Hunter, or something like this. Just does not. It's probably fun for some people, but for I think for someone who like wants a spec that's like just like really all around interesting and like a lot of potential, I think Feral's it's a good choice, you know?
Yeah.
And then again, if you don't like Feral, you can go Boomy or Wrestler or Guardian, you know? If you play DH, what are you gonna do? Gonna go play Vengeance or something?
Yeah. That's a big thing for me, is being able to play tank and healer. I can't stand playing classes where I can't just spec into tank or healer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think, why should someone stop playing Feral? I think honestly, it's like Guilty said, it's just a personal choice. But I do think that there's just kind of a little bit of magic about Feral Druid. I think it is very unique in the fact that it is a shifted form, right? It's unlike anything else in that we are still a little bit of a watered down rogue, But I do just love the playstyle. Like a lot of people, they look at my UI and they go, "Sai, why don't you have any? Why don't you have Elf UI? Why don't you have weak auras? Why don't you have this and that? Why are you looking at the top left for your combo points?" It's like, because I'm not looking at the top left for my combo points, because it's so predictable and calculated. I don't need to. I already know what I'm at. And I miss my blood talents all the time in Keystone. I can't even pretend. But it's just like a very nice, predictable spec, and I really enjoy that. I play a lot of like enhancement, and enhancement for me just feels like you can never do the thing that you want to do. There's this big priority list, and it feels like you're spinning plates, but you're constantly dropping plates, but you're still spinning a couple, so you've been successful. But like Feral is just, it's clean. I do like it a lot. So that's
Can I say
kind of what I would
one
say.
more thing for like
Yeah.
PvP and for on Feral?
Sure.
And PV. Just like speed, like being so fast, you know,
Oh
like
god, yeah.
Tiger
it's,
Dash.
it's I think it's just really fun. Yeah, just like being able to like be anywhere you want to be, you know? If you want to be there, you can be there, you can jump around. You know, you can get where you want to be, basically.
I don't
Get
know
where
though,
you wanna
Snupy. I specifically remember doing twos with you the other day, and I was getting run down by monks, ret paladins.
Yeah.
I think a holy priest ran faster than me, dude. I was like, how are you doing this? The
Cyber?
priest was where I was. He was there before I was there. He
That
knew
might
where
be
I
you
was going.
problem.
Might be a you problem.
It could be a
It
side
might be.
problem, actually. It could be
I'm
a
not
side
sure.
diff.
Or like I don't know, you know, yeah, especially you know, soul shape too.
Yeah.
You're gonna be, you're fast. You're fast. Maybe I guess, you know, but other classes are fast as well. But I think Feral is the fastest like overall. Like a
It's
Deej can
fastest
like dash.
baseline.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah. So it's fun. So speed, like I think everyone likes being fast and like not being stuck in roots. So I think that's one reason to play Feral.
All right, well, there you go. There's your Snoopy Sonic, you know, Rule 34s right there, chat, for you. Another question then. This is a quick one. Any good weak auras or macros you guys would recommend, or any like UI add-ons? I know for me, there's a Convoke add-on that I think is really good, so you should check that out, chat. It shows you all the buttons that you did in your Convoke. In fact, if you do exclamation, I'll do them both actually. For me, it's Convoke and it's Blood Talons. The one that tracks your Blood Talons and shows you what abilities you've used that is contributing towards your Blood Talons, and it gives you a little like timer of how long you've got left to hit your third button and stuff. That's nice for me. I like that, so I can maximize my kind of timings on things.
It's really easy to build a version that isn't quite as ugly as the Silent as well.
Yeah, my one's pretty ugly, but like I don't care. Like I'm about what's on the inside, you know.
As far as macros go, I think it's pretty useful to have a. I mean, it's less useful nowadays, right? But I think it's pretty useful to have a macro that stops you shifting out on regrowth.
Yeah, that's good.
I like to press that button a lot.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Snoopy, you're gonna have tons of stuff, surely.
There's like one weak card like that I think all Feral should have in I don't have a link for it though, so it's like I was gonna say I'll say what it is. Basically, like it's a weak card that shows you Chimeral Sting for hunters. Like first it's like a slow or something, then it triggers into silence, and it like shows you exactly when it silences, so you can remove curse it, which is huge. Because like what hunters will do is sting into trap, like silence a priest, so he can't death the trap, right? So get the silence off instantly, and then he can actually death the trap, and then you're not dying because your priest.
Dude, the fact that you're tracking that in the middle of a PvP match, like anyone that ever says that PvE players are better than PvP players, they are dumb. Okay.
You actually have big potential in PvP. I swear, you do.
You think? Hey, thank you.
Yeah, if you just put in some more games, like PvP.
Are you doing that? Are you doing that copy pasta where it's like, yes, you have a lot of potential. You just need to improve on your damage, survivability, avoiding CC,
movement speed,
CC,
thinking,
you gotta work on
decision
like everything
making.
a lot.
Okay, no, that's fine. I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a really good one. I'll move on to then some other questions. So I thought about making Primal Wrath baseline replaced with Shadow Thrash instead. You guys got any particular thoughts on that one? Primal Wrath baseline.
I don't hate Primal Wrath being baseline. I think that it would be significantly better if that row was fixed. Because realistically, if that row were fixed, then Primal Wrath being baseline. So the core of the issue with that row is supposed to be an AoE row, which means that all of the options provide you AoE, but they provide it in different ways. And the issue with it is that Brutal Slash kind of doesn't really provide you AoE at the moment. It provides you small single targets. So instead of choosing between different ways of doing AoE, then you choose between like, do I want to do AoE or do I want to do a little bit more single target?
Yeah. I mean, Steve, you don't even use Promarath in PvP, so I'm not even going to bother to ask your opinion on that one.
Like, you could do that, but I just don't think it's the most elegant way to fix that talent row.
Well, we already have what's the other one in the row? I can't remember the name of it now.
Scent of Blood.
Scent
I
of
think
Blood.
the thing is, if you put any other AoE talent in that row, then making Promarath baseline doesn't change anything.
Exactly.
Because you're in the exact same situation.
Yeah.
You either choose Brutal Slash and have AoE and don't have AoE, or you choose the talent that does.
And I actually wouldn't like Brutal Slash in AoE because then you'd only have 3 charges, and I just wouldn't like that. But yeah.
There's no point you bothering about Scent of Blood, does it? It reduces energy cost of swipe when you press Thrash. It's
and you don't press Thrash, so
it's not a talent.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you didn't have anything on that one. I don't imagine.
I mean, like, if it was baseline, I would never use it anyways.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically.
Yeah.
Cafe Zoe said, not making it a bleed spec again, but isn't 50% ferocious bite damage a bit too much? I think we're all in agreement that yes, it is a bit too much. Could probably be realigned a little bit, so that's cool. Do you think Sark will be a good second legendary? So Zen, we actually spoke about this earlier in the discussion, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but it could definitely be a good option, especially if you played Necro. What do you think Feral needs in terms of utility? I think we mentioned that as well. We spoke about, like, well, trees, innovate, leader of the pack. I think Feral's fine utility in PvP. Snoopy did mention innovate, though. 1 minute stampeding roar, that would be cool. Will sudden ambush gain value with 2 set and apex to become viable over boring flat % conduits?
Very much doubt it. I don't think there's anything in 2 or 4 piece that would really change the value of sudden ambush. If anything would change the value of sudden ambush, it might be the higher conduit eye level, but I don't think that would change it.
Yeah, I don't think that would really have much of an impact. Provoking Kevlam should only cast feral spells. Thoughts? No, it'd be way too OP. Unless you only did like 6 abilities or something, period.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be way too OP.
Realistically,
imagine 12 bites.
That wouldn't change anything. Convoke is tuned around like the spells it casts. So
yeah, you're not losing damage from it doing heals.
Only bite.
Exactly.
Only bite. Yeah, 12 bites in a row, all crits guaranteed. Let's go. Any other questions, chat? Why shouldn't you play Feral? Because you want to be a functional member of society, and you want to move out of your parents' basement one day.
And also, you get called a furry when you play Feral a lot.
That does happen.
It does happen a lot. Way too much.
Yeah.
This one is for Snoopy specifically. I can't see the person in chat that asked it because I asked it myself. Snoopy, when's the OnlyFans account coming, dude? Is that something that you're working on, or that been in the works from?
Fixated on OnlyFans recently.
Next week. Next week is coming out.
Yeah,
it's launching.
No, guilty. I'm not fixated on it. I've just seen a lot of people come into the chat and go, "Oh, Snoopy's so handsome." Snoopy, do you get this when you're streaming? When you get a lot of people come into chat and tell you like you're sexy and stuff like that? Like I say to chat, I say, if I was a woman, would you say this to me? And then they go, and then like one person will be like, "Oh, you look sexy today," and then I'll be like, "Would you say this to me if I was a woman?" And then 5 people go, "Yes," and I'm like, "Wait, where did you guys even come from? You didn't even." So, do you get this as well, Snoopy?
No, I don't. I think that's a you thing as well, Cyber. You're just a god.
But you're definitely more sexy than I am. It's not even a conversation. Right, so next week for the OnlyFans.
You have a command for this. Oh, damn.
I do have a command. It's my sub, yeah.
Cyber.
Does Heckley help in any way for a new Feral Druid? I tried a key with Heckley. It was pretty good. I think for raid it's pretty. I think it's pretty good. For keys, it's good. It just doesn't know when to swipe, but that's fine.
It's based on the Feral APL. So if you trust the Feral APL, then you trust Heckley at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's always going to be better to learn yourself. But if you're starting and you're unsure, it's pretty okay.
The biggest issue for me with Heckley was that when you're doing it in keys, you're spending so much time looking at what Heckley is constantly adapting to. Because Feral, you're constantly shifting your rotation, right? There's things like Demon Hunter where you do the same rotation, like no matter what happens, 1 mob, 10 mobs. That's at least how it was in BFA anyway. But Feral, you're constantly adjusting. Is it 1 mob? Is it 10? Is it 3? Like, you're going to be shifting a lot of stuff. So you're constantly looking at Heckley, and you end up standing in mechanics and dying. So that is like the one thing.
That might also be a you problem.
That might also be a side problem, though. That might be a side diff. I do die a lot and stuff, but my chat interactions are really high, though. So, you know, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Question for Guilty. Any raid boss he has tested that he is... Oh, hasn't tested that he's really looking forward to as Feral?
I think the bosses I'm looking forward to the most are the ones that haven't been tested yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Jailer works. I'm looking forward to seeing... I can't remember what it's called, Dreadlord's fight and Anduin primarily. Those fights look pretty cool. Pantheon looks okay. It'll be interesting to see how Feral does in Pantheon, like largely multi-target cleaves. That was kind of hype. And shit, I can't remember what the other fight is called. Like the sausage or something?
Yeah, the sausage. Yeah.
Yeah, that fight looks cool. I'm really hyped for that fight. It looks dope as fuck.
I haven't been able to see like all the. I haven't seen the sausage yet, but yeah, I've heard some good things on that boy. Snupy, are you gonna raid it all next tier? I know you did a +2 Plaguefall that took you like 4, almost as long as the Guardian Druid Mage Tower.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of getting into any?
Wait, no. I just remember that key. That key was I can explain it, but I'm not gonna go into it. Okay, like it's not. But I can explain what happened there, but I'm not gonna do it. Okay.
Are you gonna raid it all? Do you think, or are you gonna come like you teach me PvP? Are you gonna come do some keys with me? Like, do you want to come do a 25 key with me next season
honestly,
or anything, or any raiding?
I just maybe we could do something, but honestly, like I just don't enjoy being in a dungeon or a raid like ever.
Do you feel claustrophobic?
Yeah, it's like an arena if it was not fun.
Yeah. Yes. That's Mythic Plus.
Yeah,
and if you don't have your interrupt key bound, then that's Mythic Plus.
No, but like, I think actually raiding can be fun. I actually raided in BFA Season 4 to get dressed for PvP Mythic dressed. So I did raid a bit, and you know it was fun to progress with the guild. And then I got dressed, and then I quit. I stopped raiding.
Degenerate.
I bounced.
Good.
So I mean, maybe dude, we could do some keys. Us 3, triple Feral.
Yo, we could. The 3 of us, we could.
Maybe do keys. The last time I did keys with science, I had a mental breakdown. So.
Oh, it was me, you, and Hippo, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hippo had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, Hippo loved it, dude. That's why he actually couldn't be. I invited Hippo on today, and he was like, "Nah, I can't do it. I still got PTSD from the last time I was with Sai and Guilty." Yeah, I mean, Snupy, I asked you that question like last time you were on the show. I always ask you, and I go, "Oh, are you gonna do some PvE?" And I just like to see you squirm and find a way to say, "Hell no."
I mean, I tried one key, as you see.
Yeah, we also have that one.
Yeah. Right. Any other questions, chat, or any questions that you guys had, or anything you've seen that you guys want to ask? We can look to wrap it up soon as well.
Let's see. I haven't been scrolling. I probably should have been.
We want to know how old do you think Snupy is? Snoopy is actually a 45-year-old woman.
I guess Snoopy was 23.
No, I'd say 22.
Oh, yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm 22, so you guys are close.
Damn, a year over.
Yep.
The reason I know you're 22 is because when we PvP together, I synced my mind with yours. And now I'm with you.
We had crazy synergy. It was crazy.
Big synergy.
Yep.
When are you getting the rank 1, sorry?
When am I getting rank 1 what? PvP?
Unchained Gladiator Cyber.
Dude, I'm so bad at video games. A lot of people think, I don't know why people watch me stream, because I am so bad at video games. PvP is way too difficult. PvP for me feels like when you're playing your first game of Fortnite and you shoot someone and then they're in a skyscraper. Like, that's what PvP is to me. Like, I go in, I hit rake on somebody, I mess up the DR, Snupy yells at me and goes, it's fine. It's not fine. I convoke out of cat form. Like, the holy priest is quicker than me. I end up using my full convoke on a BM hunter pet. It's so stressful, man. It's so tough. It's so stressful.
Yo, I'm down to convoke BM hunter pets.
We should do 3s, all with convoke, and we'll just see what happens.
Triple convoke, yeah.
We double cyclone, and then we triple convoke one guy. and he
Yep.
dies.
Do you have Cyclone Keybound?
I might. Yeah, I've got a keybound. They should put Berserk like it used to be, decrease the energy needed when in Berserk as well. What, you mean when it used to be Incon? They did a Berserk and Incon swap. You mean they should go back to when it was Incon? I don't know. I'll be honest, Berserk is just a dog shit cooldown. It needs to be like, they tried to redesign it 3 times in beta, and I just don't think that they actually hit on a good way. You spend more time pooling in Berserk than you do, like Snupy earlier, you saying about Berserk, like when you press it feels okay. I honestly
I feel like we should get like some damage increase on it, maybe.
like, okay, but let me ask you this, and I'll ask you guys and I'll ask chat.
100%.
If you see a Feral Druid in Berserk or a Ret Paladin in Wing, no, sorry, not even a Ret Paladin, a Holy Paladin in Wings, which one are you more afraid of? Like, I'm running at that Feral Druid, I am Hearthstoning away from that Paladin. Like,
I mean, yeah.
like, it just doesn't feel like the Berserk is that scary, in my opinion.
Berserk is like more of like an indicator that the Ferals can do a go soon in PvP. Like, if I see Berserk, I know he wants to maim me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Okay.
Berserk on his own isn't very, like, if you're on stun DR. Oh, by the way, someone's asking for like, one add-on everyone should get for Arena. It's called Diminish, and you can track your own stun DR, so you can see like when you're on DR and when you're not on DR.
I should get that.
So you know exactly when to pre-bear, so you can time perfectly, right? Because like, so yeah, get that. Yep. Wait, what was he saying? I forgot.
You just saying Berserk's a doggo, and I agreed with you.
Oh yeah, Berserk sucks. I mean, it could be better. Let's put it that way. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure, for sure. Any other like? I think we can kind of wrap there. Would you like Kick to be off the GCD? I mean, I don't know. That's like an interesting kind of whole, not Feral specific thing. Maybe, probably.
To be clear, Kick is already off the GCD. He's the main part of the question is about the swapping into cat form.
There's one thing with Kick though. You know, if you bear form, wild charge and bear form the entire Kick, then it's a GCD because it's like a charge effect. That's annoying.
Oh, because you're in the animation of charge.
Yeah, because it's like a charge already. Yeah, so like sometimes you like bear form and then like you want to go wild charge Kick, then you can't do it. So, but that's, I don't know if it's intended but that's kind of annoying.
I'm guessing it's probably bugged because I know in cat form, charge and Kick, and it will
you can do it.
It'll cancel you out of the charge and Kick instead.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Sometimes I read questions and then I'll kind of just go with what the person's saying. I read that and then I completely forgot that Kick is off the GCD. Anything else? I think that's where we can call it, guys. It's been just over an hour and a half. Sorry, that great with Skull Bash, dude. I fell off the eye once. Okay, I never used it. I never used Skull Bash before on the eye. I thought I'd risk it. I fell off. Big whoop. I died to way more like briefing things there, Shrooms. What do you think of Blizzard removing 2x wall and bringing box skin back? What, as in going back to double survival instincts and not having box skin? I kind of like box skin. I'll be real with you. There are some times where you want a defensive, but you don't need a full survival instinct. So having a shorter CD, I think, is chill. Like, survival is absolutely insane defensively, I think.
I'd love skin too.
Yeah, on cool box skin.
I mean, it's like one more thing. Like, I wouldn't mind if they reduced the CD of instincts, but of course, I wouldn't mind that. But I guess it's fine.
Yeah, sure.
If it was 2 minutes, that'd be nice. But it's like, or have like double wall and skin. But yeah, it's probably too much.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Right. Well, I think that's where we'll kind of call it a day there. Chat, thank you so much for just being really chill and hanging out whilst we've been talking. And yeah, thank you for a lot of great questions there. Hopefully you enjoyed this brief kind of discussion on how Feral's looking in 9.2. I think overall, I mean, final question for me, guys. Are you feeling quite positive going into 9.2? I personally am feeling like Feral is going to be in the best state in 9.2 since I started playing it in the beginning of Legion. And no, I'm not saying it's like, I think good in terms of performance. I think we're going to be seen in all content, and I think that we're going to be performing well in all content. That's mostly a Mythic Plus thing for me, but what do you guys think? You happy?
I don't know if we're to be the best. I think we'll be fine. Have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm also meant in like Mythic Plus with the whole like I think we're gonna be in the best state.
Of course.
But yeah, what about you, Snupy? I know you're trying to type out a thing.
Yeah, I was typing about. Wait, so what are we asking right
I
now?
was asking, are you happy with how Feral's going to be in 9.2? You know, when all said and done here today, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It looks like it's gonna be fun and like interesting. Yeah, you know, Curian should be fun. Knife should be fun, and Necro should be interesting as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to it for sure. 100%.
Nice, good stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's good to know that we're all kind of feeling positive about it. I think 9.2 is going to bring a lot of good things for the game in general. And I think a lot of specs, it's definitely going to kick up the meta in a lot of things, and it'll be really interesting. I don't think anybody knows what the hell is going to happen because everyone's getting 2 legendaries and tier sets, and it's going to be absolutely insane. The one really good thing is that Feral Druid is getting our weapon off of one of the last bosses, right? One of the last 2. So we're going to actually have a high item level weapon now, which is really cool. So look forward to that.
But you won't have it for progress.
But you won't have it for progress. So unluck, kiddos. But yeah, Snupy, thank you very much for being on. Guilty, thank you very much for being on. I really appreciate you guys for coming and sharing your evening with us. Snupy, anything that you want to say to the chat before you go? Obviously, guys, you can check out, if I do guess, hopefully this should come up. There are the Twitter links for Guilty and Snupy. Snupy, you're streaming all the time. Guys, you can check out Snupy's Twitch. Guilty, I think you stream sometimes, right? So same with Guilty, but there are the links there for the gentleman.
Progress, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Snupy, anything that you want to say before you head off, dude?
Can I just say one thing, or just one about skin? About skin, basically, and
Okay.
what I think skin. What's it called? Like makes pre-bearing like it basically skin on its own is not enough. If you have skin and bear, then it's enough. So I think skin is pretty cool because it kind of gives you more value from pre-bearing. But yeah, I agree with Basement that wall could like last a bit longer for sure. But except for that, I also want to thank Cyber for having me on, and it was awesome. It was really fun, and it was nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, of course, dude. And Guilty, anything from you, dude?
Nah, I said a lot here. I'm pretty happy with what I said. Obviously, you can check me out on Twitter. Maybe don't do that. And I'm on a variety of other podcasts, so you can check me out there as well. Next one comes out Monday, so check my Twitter for that.
Who was that with?
Marcellian and Flame. Marcellian on, and then it's with Word Up, Panthea, Mandel, and Public this week.
Are you guys like getting into like a regular, like, are you guys doing like a regular podcast thing? Because you seem to be doing
kind of. We've done 3 now. It's kind of, we're doing it like monthly or so, talking about stuff.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
So check those guys out as well.
Excellent. Well, there you go. That's where you can check Guilty, and of course you can check Snupy out on stream and stuff as well. Chat, I'm gonna hang up on these guys in a second, and then we're gonna go play some games for a little bit. Guilty, Snupy, thank you guys so much for being on. I really do appreciate your time. Yep. Take care, guys.
Take care.
All
right. Goodbye.
See ya.